All right, what is up, guys? Here to break down today's race at New Hampshire. I'm going to give everybody a couple minutes to get in here. Chris, unfortunately, not able to join today, had something come up with the family. So you're only getting me today. I know that is horrid for you guys. But no, Chris had a few plays highlighted before he asked me to highlight my favorite plays. So I'll touch on those and what he had there when we get to the sheet. I think we're on pretty similar wavelengths this week as far as what we're looking at for the race. He added the 750 horsepower package data from this year to the sheet. We'll look at that. But it's going to be a fun one. New Hampshire is kind of an interesting track. We saw the Xfinity race yesterday. It's hard to pass. And he was mentioning the correlation of starting position to finishing position, and that's because track position does become so important here. So we'll look at that. And we got a few cars going to the rear, which I've highlighted their numbers red on the sheet. Really, it only affects one play that I have in my pool, and it didn't affect him too much. So we'll get to that. But if you have any questions, be sure to drop them in the YouTube chat, and I'll get to them. I'm working off one screen today, so I don't have two, so I won't have it both open at the same time when I'm scrolling through the sheet, but I'll be sure to go back and forth and check in. If you all are not members over at Patreon, the link is, I'll drop it in the chat here in just a second, but it's in the description of the video. Be sure to hop in and join us there, $10 per sport, or if you want to do every sport, it is $20 per month. It's really, we've expanded our offerings quite a bit. I came over with Chris from Roto Pros when it shut down, and we've expanded soccer leagues. We're covering the Gold Cup right now that's going on. We had all the Euro content. English Premier League will be back next month. We obviously have NBA, MLB every night, UFC last night. Kenny crushes that. League of Legends, Kenny and Ryan are taking care of that. We have tons of offerings. Be sure to tennis. We have that going on too. So be sure to join over there and take a look at that. You'll get access to all the sheets, and then us in the Discord chat as well. We got a lot of sharp people in there chatting it up throughout the day, looking at the slate. So let's hop on over to the sheet. Going to take a look here. So at the top, we obviously have Kyle Larson and Kyle Busch, who have really been the top two cars over the last month, I feel. And then 10K and up, it closes out with Byron, Harvick, and Hamlin. So let's start in that range. We have Kyle Busch on the pole alongside Martin Truex Jr. If you look at the 750 horsepower data for this package, let's flip on over to that. Really, JGR, Joe Gibbs Racing, has been the best team with this package this year. Denny Hamlin has an average run position of 3.6, top five in 4 of the 5 races with this package. They've really dominated. Martin Truex Jr., 3 wins out of 5, led 455 laps. Hamlin's led 523 laps. So those two have been really good. As you know, Kyle Busch kind of struggled early in the year, but he's really turned the corner lately. Still ran decent, but nothing spectacular up to this point. So really it becomes, I was mentioning in the Discord earlier, it becomes a thing that you're looking at. Are you trusting the recent form and the fact that his teammates were really good with this package? Or are you looking at the history with this package that leans toward Truex and Hamlin? I'll have exposure to all 3 of those for dominators for sure, and they are my favorite 3 dominators if you look at the rankings, which I'm not going to look at on the show, but if you have access to the sheet, you can check out the rankings with some notes there. So at the top, it's definitely Kyle Busch and Hamlin are the top 2 dominators for me from 10K and up. After that, it's hard not to include Kyle Larson. He does start 10th, so that gives him a little bit of built-in place differential that Kyle Busch doesn't have. Like, he's been the best car all year. Maybe not with this package looking at, but recently he's been the best car. I think it's hard not to go there, but he is going to be behind those Joe Gibbs cars for me. And then his teammate, William Byron, has probably, if you look at the data, been the best Hendrick car in terms of speed with this package. He's 10.6. I don't expect him to get super popular. Starting 16th, I think he's a very good pivot up in that range, but that's how I would rank them. Hamlin, Kyle Busch, Larson, Byron are neck and neck for third there. So that's where I'm going there. Let me check the chat here. So Stan is asking how much is Busch. I'm assuming you're talking about Kyle Busch. So yeah, 10.9. On the poll, it's all about who gets out front early, I believe. I mean, there's a competition caution lap 30, I think. So you could see some strategy there. I don't think we'll see anything crazy. But actually, dropping down to the next tier, I think my favorite dominator of the day is going to be Martin Truex Jr. Been good here at New Hampshire. If you look back at his history, we know that he's good on shorter flat tracks. Martinsville, he dominates. He's won 3 of the 5 races with this 750 horsepower package, and he's 9,100, and that's because of recent form. We know that he's struggled a little bit lately to be the fastest car, get out front and things. But if you look at the model, number 2 in Chris's model here, starting outside front row to Kyle Busch, his teammate, I think he could challenge him for the lead early. And if not, maybe they get a good pit stop and lead after the competition caution. But Martin Truex for 9,100 is definitely my favorite dominator. In this range as well, Joey Logano has been very good at these tracks as well. He's shown some speed. Just flipping back over here to the 750 package. Logano right up there. 3 top 5s in 5 races. Average run 5.6. Led 198 laps. I think if you look over, that was a lot, probably Phoenix. Yeah, he was second there, led all 143 laps there. At Phoenix, we know he's very good there, but that's a comp to this place. So I think that bodes well for Joey Logano. And again, kind of like Martin Truex, he's not overly expensive. And Logano is starting 15th. So 9,500 starting 15th, and I think he does have the potential to lead at some point in this race. I think he's a good GPP option. And then the last guy that I'll mention from like 8,500 to 10K is Ryan Blaney, starting 7th. Teammate to Joey Logano, just flipping back over and looking here. He's not been as good as Joey, but he does have an average run there of 7.6, which ranks pretty highly. Let's see. Yeah, so he ranks 5th in average run position with the 750 horsepower package. Doesn't have the great results to show for it. Dover, he was 9th. On average run and finished 12th. Darlington, he finished right where he average ran. Martinsville was kind of the one that hurts him there. He ran 4th a lot of the day in that top 5, led 157 laps, but finished 11th. We know he has the speed. I think he's a potential cheaper dominator for me here at 8,700. And that's kind of the thing that I'm seeing that we've not really had in the last few weeks is cheaper dominators. These same guys have kind of been in this a similar range, but it's not that I've wanted to go down here. But coming with this package, I think it's something that I do want to do. Ryan Blaney, Martin Truex, definitely cheaper value dominators that can get it done for you and not make you have to go down to the super cheap range, which I'll get to, and it's pretty ugly this week. Just checking. Liz talking about Joey Logano. Yeah, love him this week. Just touched on him. The last guy that I would talk to about from a dominator perspective would be Alex Bowman. 8,200, starting 5th. We know the Hendrick cars have shown speed. If you're betting on that team in general, I think you go here. He's not one of my favorites, but he is 8,200, which is cheaper than any other Hendrick car that you're going to see. So let's go ahead and drop down to the more of the value tier below 8K. Christopher Bell, we know he loves this place. from Xfinity. Obviously, he won yesterday, dominated most of the race. Sorry. He said publicly that this is one of his favorite tracks. He starts ninth. We know that Joe Gibbs, like I said, has had the best car with this package all year. So it's really hard not to play Christopher Bell. Starting ninth, so he gets good track position. Going back to what Chris had touched on about the starting position, having correlation to finishing position here. And it, like I said, it's all because of the track position, and he gets to start with some early on. I think he's got top 5 upside. So at 7,700, thinking he has top 5 upside, I'll definitely go there. Before I go any further, going to the rear, you can see Ryan Preece. If you liked Ryan Preece, I don't see any reason to fade him because he's going to the rear. He does start 25th, so it's not hurting him that bad. And it's a long race, and you were playing him for place differential. But for me, I was not on him to begin with. He's priced up quite a bit, almost $8,000. So I will not be going there. And then the guy who's in my pool that I mentioned that's going to the rear is Bubba. He starts 18th. He'll be scored from 18th, but he's going to the rear, 6,500. So this is where I'm at, and Chris and I talk on this a lot. Really, the reason to fade people that are going to the rear is because either you're playing them for dominator points or they're cheaper guys that are starting in the 15 range or lower. What you're playing Bubba Wallace for is him to get the top 15 finish. You're not playing him for any laps led. You're not playing him for any fastest laps, even though he could still get a few. We're starting 18th. I wish he was starting in the low 20s. But I think with how people look at this sometimes, I think the ownership will drop a little bit on him. And he's starting 18th. I still think he's got the upside to get in that top 15 after 300 laps. I mean, it's not like he needs to be up there at the end of the competition caution or into stage 1. It's a long race. We need him there at the end. So because he doesn't need the dominator points, I think you can definitely go there. Yes, it hurts him that he's going to not have track position at a place that is pretty important. But I think the Toyotas as a whole, and if he's feeding anything off these Joe Gibbs cars, maybe they're starting to turn it around as a team. The 2311 team has started to turn it around quite a bit, showing some more speed, getting confidence every week for Bubba, and I'm going to still go there. So he would be one of my favorite value plays down here. Sorry. But my favorite is a little higher at 7,100, and it's Ricky Stenhouse. Really showing a lot of speed lately. I think he's a top 15 car, and he's starting 29th at 7,100. I do kind of expect him to be a little popular, but I think his upside makes it hard to fade him. Hard not to be my top value of the day at 7,100. Some of the people priced above him have me scratch my head. Ryan Preece being priced 700 above him as his teammate is not where I want to go. Another guy that I mentioned or didn't mention is Daniel Suarez, and he's 8,900 with a similar starting spot. And arguably, Stenhouse has had a better car than Daniel Suarez. So Suarez is a fade for me. I didn't mention him, but Stenhouse is definitely one of my favorite, if not definitely one of the top 2 values for me. And then he's sandwiched in between Ryan Newman and Ross Chastain. Chastain and that team has really shown a little bit of speed lately. And then you have Newman, who just has a better starting position. So those are kind of neck and neck for me. If I had to pick one, I think I would pick Newman because of that starting position. If he gets you the top 16, 17 finish, I think he can pay off unless Chastain probably – let's look at the matrix on those two. So that's an interesting one to look at. So you got Ryan Newman and Ross Chastain. So taking out all dominator points, I said I think Newman's upside is probably in the 15, 16 range, somewhere in there. So you're looking at 39, 41 fantasy points. So to match that, Ross Chastain is going to need an 11th place finish. So just looking at that, I think you have to side with Ryan Newman, but I'll definitely have some exposure to Chastain as well in that range, because I think he does have top 15 upside at least, and probably pushing top 12 if they're having a good day. So that's where I'm at right there. And check any questions. Yeah, be sure to drop some questions in if you got them. I know I'm touching on most of these people, but we're going to get down to this value range, and I don't like pretty much anybody. I do have some exposure to some guys down there, but I'm not enthused about it. Matt DiBenedetto starting 14th, 7,500, shown some promise at New Hampshire. I think he is motivated after news that he will not be in the 21 car next year, and he's pretty much out of a ride unless something comes along. Harrison Burton will be replacing him there. So I think he's motivated. We've seen this a few years ago at Bristol when there was a lot of talk surrounding him, and he went out and almost beat Denny Hamlin. I don't know that he can do that today, but I think he has a good run in him. 7,500, I'll have some exposure. Eric Jones is another one. He ran very good here with Joe Gibbs, third, sixth in a couple of those races. Obviously not as good a car now, but starting 24th, I think he is fine. I was looking at Tyler Reddick. He's cheap, 6,800, starting 8th. And if you look at this package this year, Tyler Reddick has ran right around that 14th place. So we kind of think he's got top 15 upside. But we think that's enough. He probably needs a top 10 at the price, to be honest. So he needs 34 points for 5X. So that would be a 9th place finish. So we probably need him in that top 10. If you think he can finish in the top 10, then go for it. I will not have much, if any, exposure to Tyler Reddick today. Banking on the guys around him having a little more upside. But one I would like to compare him to is Bubba. We think Bubba can get back into that top 20 range and finish a little ahead of where he's starting, which is probably 15th, 16th. So that gives him 29 or 31 points. And if you compare that to Tyler Reddick, to beat him, Reddick still needs a 10th place finish. So that's how those two compare. Reddick's 10th is the same as Bubba's 15th, if you kind of look at it that way. Very similar there. I do still lean with Bubba Wallace, but I'll have a little bit of Tyler Reddick. He was 10th here last year, so he's shown that he can do it. Cole Custer, 8th here last year. I'll have some exposure as one of the cheaper guys starting 21st. Not enthused about it, to be quite honest. And then you have McDowell, Briscoe, and Alfredo and LaJoie. Let's lump them all in together. Alfredo, I mentioned in chat, I've been on him quite a bit this year, but they have been absolutely horrific with this 750 package. So I will be off Alfredo. I think they've ran let's just take a look, I guess. Upper 20s is kind of been their average run, and that's where they're starting. That is not going to get it done for you today. Let's see. I know I scroll right by him. Alfredo, average run 30th, so even worse. I just don't think that's going to be for me today. I don't want somebody riding around 25th to 30th, even though he is starting 27th and cheap. I don't think he has any upside. LaJoie, I'm going to have him in one. I think I have him in 1 out of 20 lineups, just as a pure punt. He's going to the rear. But again, I don't think guys in this cheap range starting near the back anyway, it hurts him too awful much. But I'm not going to have much exposure there either. Chase Briscoe and McDowell, I'll have small exposure to them as well. starting 19th and 23rd, but nothing over the top. So really, I'm trying to stock my pool down at Custer and Bubba. Is kind of where the lowest I'm trying to go. And I think that's definitely doable because I am playing some of these guys that aren't at the very top, like Denny, Truex, Logano, Blaney, as dominators, and I think they got the potential to do that. Not on Harvick. Liz asked. I am not. Not going to be for me. Let's just take a look. He's been very good here, but let's take a look at their speed with this package. His average run has been 8.2, led 10 laps. He's kind of been that top 10 car, the 8th to 10th place kind of car with this package. And where is he starting? 12. Yeah, it's just really not for me. I would much rather play William Byron for place differential, just because of the speed that they have shown. I'd rather play Denny Hamlin for 300 cheaper with the speed they've shown, and Joey Logano, Truex, and Blaney for cheaper as well. So yeah, no Harvick for me today. That's kind of where I'm at there. So any more questions? We got about, I guess, 40 minutes till lock. If you have any questions, drop them in. I'm not going to stay too awful long on here today, but I appreciate all of you all tuning in. I think we're in for a fun race today. I know you might not see a ton of passing, but it's kind of awesome to watch some of the battles at this track and trying to fight for that upper line. Is really what people do because they just can't get any grip coming off the bottom. So you're going to see a lot of crossover moves and things of that nature today. So it's an interesting race to watch from a driver perspective because you're really watching the talent of some of these guys and what they can do. So thoughts on Keselowski? James asks. I like his other two teammates, but I'm just really not on him. I know he won here last year. Let's check out his horsepower, 750 horsepower data. Where is he? Oh, way down here. One top 5 out of the 5 races. Average run 12.2. Let's look back and see if there's any super outliers. Darlington, average run 20th. Dover, average run 11th. Richmond, average run 10th. Martinsville, he finished 33rd, but he had an average run of 16th before some trouble. And he was good again at Phoenix, just like every car in that camp, in the Penske camp, usually is. So, yeah, not for me. And, again, it's because I like guys around him more. I like Logano more, Truex more, Blaney more, and it's a thing that I have to take some stands. That's kind of one thing that I try to do a lot is take pretty hard stands on some guys. Like Chase Elliott, I won't be on him today because he's starting 3rd, and I think the 2 in front of him have more upside to lead early. I don't think Chase will lead early in this race, and I don't think he has the best car later in the race either. I think there's other guys that are going to lead later in this race, whether it's Larson, Byron, Hamlin, just guys I like around them more. So I have to X out some of these guys. I don't like taking a underweight approach on a lot of them. I like to get massively overweight on the guys that I do like. It's paid off for me doing that. Obviously, I'm going to have weeks that if Chase Elliott or Keselowski or Harvick, guys that I have no exposure to, lead and dominate, my day's probably over from winning a tournament. But if it goes the other way and guys that I'm massively overweight on, like that whole Joe Gibbs team, Truex, Hamlin, Kyle Busch, if I'm overweight on them and it's that team that dominates, I'm going to have a nice day because I'm then mixing and matching the value plays down here. So I've had a lot of success doing that. It's kind of my strategy is Xing a few of those guys out. Lane asking car 18 on the 18th outright winner. hey, it's hard to bet against him. Let me pull up the odds. I've actually not even made a bet this week, but let me look at some odds and some guys that I think have chances to win. I'll give you a couple quick picks here. So you got Larson as the favorite on DraftKings Sportsbook plus 450. Kyle Busch and Hamlin and Truex all 6-1 on DraftKings Sportsbook. Chase 8-1. Logano back at 11 with Keselowski. So just looking at this from the top of the range, I would take one of those 6-1 Joe Gibbs cars. Like I said, I think that's my favorite team. I would take one of those three, whether it's Hamlin, Kyle, or Truex. Pick your favorite one, and then maybe take a little bit longer shot. I think William Byron has shown some speed with Ryan Blaney. Byron is 16-1. Ryan Blaney is 18-1. I think those are kind of mid-range picks that I would like. And then Joey Logano 11-1 would be a fine option as well. So I think I will throw a couple bets out there. I'm going to go Martin Truex Jr. 6-1, and I'm going to go a little bit down the board to Ryan Blaney 18-1. So those are going to be the two bets that I'm actually locking in right now. So thanks for bringing that up. I know we don't touch a whole lot on betting, and I forget sometimes, but I think those are some nice picks for me today would be Truex and Ryan Blaney, and it keeps exiting me out. Okay. Any Keselowski, I just touched on that. I will not be on Brad K this week. Like too many guys around him. Any more props? Let's see. I like usually looking at stage 1 winners and things like that, but I've really not seen that. Oh, here it is. They actually have it this week. So looking at the stage 1 winner, I know earlier in the year I kind of hammered Kyle Larson when he was starting on the pole. Can't remember exactly what race that was, but it's been fairly recently, and he was like 2 or 3-1 to win stage 1. That paid off. Stage 1 right here, we have Kyle Busch 4-1, Martin Truex 4.5-1, Hamlin 5.5-1. Let's see, Chase is 6-1. So if I was taking any of those, stage 1 winner, I'd go again. Martin Truex Jr. 4.5-1 would be my favorite pick there. As you can kind of tell, I'm on Martin Truex Jr. today. But you could definitely go Kyle Busch. Like Lane is mentioning not letting MJ team win. I'm assuming you're talking about Bubba. Yeah, or Martin Truex Jr. I'm assuming you're talking about Bubba with Michael Jordan, not letting him win. I like him today. They're kind of turning the corner. I know he's going to the rear. Maybe that's what you're talking about. They're getting him for some things, sending him to the rear. But I do like Bubba today. I think they're turning the corner. DFS is cool and all, but straight odds. Hey, we like some odds. We like some betting. I'm lucky that I'm in Virginia and able to do some sports betting. I know there's a lot of states still out there that you can't do so. And let's see. So those would be my bets from today. Let's look at PrizePicks. And this is something that I'm actually not in a state that I can play PrizePicks, but I'm going to pull it up and take a look for you guys because we have a code with PrizePicks, and let me shove that across the bottom. So there is the code. It's code Jaeger for a 100% bonus up to $100 for PrizePicks, and I'm going to share my screen once I get in here and give you a couple picks there. Sadly, I can personally not play these today, so I will not have them, but we're going to take a look at them. Let me see here. So I'm going to share, and I'm kind of new to this, if you couldn't tell. Looking here. Okay. All right. We got some PrizePicks up. So I'm going to zoom out a little bit. And as you can see, I still have money on here that I can do nothing with. I was able to play when I was down at the beach. It was the first time I was able to play PrizePicks down in South Carolina. So that was fun. Chris won me about $200 on a $20 deposit through the week that I was at the beach. So that was fun. So, so let's look at single stat DFS. They don't have any. Okay, we have. Let's check the scoring chart for NASCAR. All right, so it's kind of like DraftKings scoring, plus 0.01 for points led. There's no points for place differential. Let me check one thing here. Oh, Chris has got that on the sheet. Okay, so plus 0.01 for laps led, so that's not going to help you a ton. But let's take a look at what we got here. So Martin Truex Jr. 35.5. So basically, if you think he leads laps, he would need then a 5th place on just laps, and you could maybe get some laps led if he leads quite a bit. That's basically a top 5 finish from Martin Truex Jr. I think is very doable. Similar for Kyle Larson. I think you can definitely go to that. Kyle Busch is a nice one. That's basically betting on a top 5 finish there. Christopher Bell is 30.5, so just pulling this back up. 30.5, that's a top 10 from Christopher Bell. That would be my first click would be Christopher Bell, basically needing a top 10 out of him if he doesn't lead any laps. Bubba Wallace, Ricky Stenhouse, 21-23. So you're needing, oh, wow. Oh, that's awesome. You're basically needing a top 20 out of Ricky Stenhouse. So those would be my top 2 plays there. You can play that as a flex or a power play on PrizePicks. The flex play, and that would both be over, by the way. So the flex play is if you get one correct, you get half your money back. If you get them both correct, you get 2x. So similar here, $20, you'd get 10 back if only one of those hits, and you would get the 40 if both hit. Or you can do the power play where it's basically a 2-way parlay. You get nothing back if they both don't hit, or either doesn't hit, and then if they both hit, you get 60. So those would be the top 2. You could throw Martin Truex in there, or Denny Hamlin, or anybody in the top range, and play that. If you do a flex play there, all three correct gets you 2.25x, and 2 of the 3 correct get you 1.25x. So I do like doing that as well. Or you can parlay them all for 5-1 odds. So I like that for PrizePicks. Stenhouse and Christopher Bell over would be my favorite 2 there. So good luck to everybody today. Let me double check the Brad or Joey from franchise. I touched on both of those. Joey is my favorite of those 2. I will have no Keselowski today, and I will have a decent amount of exposure to Joey Logano. He's actually in my single entry build as of now, as well as the 3rd dominator. So good luck to everybody today. If you have any more questions, be sure to hit me up in the chat. We got about 30 minutes, just under 30 minutes till lock. Looking forward to the race today. We have Canada and the USA showdown in the Gold Cup at 5 o'clock today. So be sure to hop in and we'll talk some soccer. Mexico and El Salvador is later tonight, I think 10 o'clock. So that is a lot of fun. Obviously, Chris and Ryan, both in our chat, are from Canada. So we have a little bit of trash talking going back and forth about today's match in the chat. But be sure to hop in. We're going to touch on the showdowns there for both of those. We have sheets up for both. So good luck to everybody today with the race. And we will see you back really in a few weeks. We have this break because of the Olympics from NASCAR. So we will see you back in a few weeks. Good luck to everybody.